October 19, 2021, 6 p.m. We call a special meeting, discuss the city's potential purchase or lease of a new community wellness facility, the Wildcat. Why we are here today. Good afternoon, everyone, and hope you can some quality time. The meeting is called to order. I'm Deputy City Clerk.
Councilwoman Timothy. Here. Councilman Galvin.
Here.
Councilwoman Estime Irvin.
Present.
Councilman Dezume. Mayor Bieneme.
Here.
Mayor, you have a quorum to proceed.
Thank you very much. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance with Commander Brooks.
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Please remain standing as I conduct the invocation. Let us catch. Lord, I pray that you bless us in this meeting, keep us safe and healthy. Counsel, wisdom, administrators, passion. May the work we do hope.
Thank you very much, Commander Brooks. Department. Good afternoon, yes. Our keys there. Good afternoon, keys. Okay. This is a discussion about the Wildcat, and I'm pretty much sure that President of Army is aware that a few years ago, Johnson and Wales closed the facility, opened it up, a company called PMG bought it, and they've been trying to sell it by piece instead of comprehensive plan to address 28 acres, 28 plus acres of land as the will of the council. Since day one, we've been expressing our interest to see the city acquire the 1%, pretty much that what the president of Miami would like to see happen. But for the past 20 years, I don't think the city ever done any purchase as far as getting a loan. And at this time, I don't even know. As a city, we know what is our scoring rate. Are we AA, AAA? I don't think we know at this time. That's why we've been exploring ways how we can acquire peace, and finally we get that proposal today that we're going to discuss the council, right? Which way they want to go. But for I entertain the administration, Wayne.
Sure, and I'll do it briefly. Obviously, I strongly favor the acquisition of Wildcat Center. There is a huge need in the city of more space for youth programs, more space for community groups to get together. This could be a home to our athletic league. We could get our parks department out of the trailer that they've been working in for years. Theoretically, a rental facility. We could get other sports teams outside of the city's group, volleyball, basketball to high schools. It's got huge amount of potential. One other thing that motivates me today that I've been up here a long time, I always say it, everything that we've done as a city in my years up here has been about the someday in the future there will be a Sole Mia Park. Someday in the future we will have free. Someday in the future our CRA will build a parking lot. It's always the future, the future. This gives us an opportunity now to acquire what a jewel in our park. And I just think very so I appreciate the council last second will special meeting and hope vote in favor of the act. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Council Galvin. I don't know. Council member want to weigh in, open it to the public, and before we
Mayor,
hear
would
from
you-
the city manager.
Would you like for me
Can
to
we hear
read
from
the
the
tab
manager?
for the record?
Oh,
A discussion regarding the city's potential purchase
Leadership.
and lease of a new community wellness facility, Wildcat Center. Tab,
very much. Public.
Well,
Councilwoman.
No, well, the city manager.
Okay. You
I'd
don't want to
represent
weigh
first.
in to anything. Okay.
Mhm.
Thank you very much, Madam City Manager.
Good evening. So the council at the September 28th meeting directed the city to continue negotiations and trying to acquire the Wildcat. We've been having several discussions with them. I'd like to have Debbie Love, our city planner, present on the Wildcat, which is what we would plan to acquire.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. For the record, Debbie Love, City Planner, Community Planning and Development. We have a brief PowerPoint, give you some context for your discussion on the Wildcat. Current land use for it is Community Facility University, and the current zoning is public use, and with that allows several different types of uses, primarily government, everything from public facilities, community facilities, and of course educational facilities. The site size is a little less than 54,000 square feet, and the facility size itself is just under 38,000 square feet. We completed 2 appraisals for the property. One came in at $9.4 million. The other came in at $13.7 million. So one of the things that we observed is that right away it's non-conforming due to parking. Currently, the site has 13 marked parking spaces. However, for our code requires for a community facility of that size to have about 190 parking spaces. So there are some options for your consideration. Obviously, one is to acquire some additional sites to provide some parking. There's an option for a shuttle service, whether it's from Gwen Margolis or from some other facility that we have, or creating some sort of shared parking agreement with a potential for cross access agreement. With that, that is the end of that brief presentation to give you
That
some
was brief.
context.
Thank you very much.
So over the course of the negotiations, PMG, that currently owns the property, made a final counter offer to us at $11 million. And subject to this approval, the city accepted that offer based on seeing if we can get the financing. So this happened late last week in terms of them providing their final counter offer and asking to move forward swiftly. And so I wanted to bring up, so we've been exploring financial options. So I would ask Miguel, our finance director, to kind of talk about the finance options that we explore.
Good evening, Miguel Augustin, Finance Director. I'll be presenting to you the financing options that we explored.
Got to turn it on.
Okay, so essentially the two financing options. One was a bank loan that we obtained a quote, a very preliminary quote from Wells Fargo. The 10-year loan with semi-annual payments.
You have a copy of the Wells Fargo quote?
I thought we sent the presentation.
You sent me the number, you didn't send the Wells Fargo
Yeah.
quote.
I don't have anything in writing.
Okay.
Either.
Yes.
There's a memo that's on there that
It's a memo,
says the
but I'm
different
talking about
discussions.
the paper from Wells
amortization.
Fargo, the approval, the pre-approval or whatever the quote.
No, we don't have any documentation. We just have some quote. Essentially, what we would be getting from Wells Fargo later is something more structured with actual terms, but we have just preliminary terms based on our discussions of what we expect the facility to be used for, and the amount that we're asking for terms, 10-year
And what are the
time
terms?
period, the potential interest associated with.
You're telling me it's like you're calling on the phone and try to get a quote. Like I'm buying a house. I said I'm buying a house, 300,000. They figured out that I have maybe 750 before they give me a plus rate there based on they structure it on a way. But as far as pre-approval, send my social security, pull in my credit, we don't have that. It's a preliminary quote, right?
Right. It's
Okay.
it's preliminary. So
Okay.
we don't have the time frame for them to do their due diligence and for them to run it through their process. It takes time. So we should probably get something more formalized
Okay.
later on. But for
May I-
purposes of
okay,
discussion,
you just said we might get something formalized later
No,
on.
we will.
How mu-
We
we
will.
will get something
Yes.
formalized later on. How much later?
well, I spoke with the banker today, and he was talking with the credit department. They were reviewing our financials and going through the due diligence process. I don't have a date certain, but I did express to them that we did have a 30-day time window in which we were interested in closing. Well, so they were mindful of that, and they think that's something that they work well. So.
And can I ask, when was that request made to Wells
Can we
Fargo?
do one by one?
Oh, well,
one-
you were just jumping.
one-
And
Yeah,
Mr.
yeah,
Mo,
yeah.
point of privilege.
That was me, yes.
So how do you
Can we
want to
just
do
Wait,
it?
hear
wait,
the
wait,
report
wait,
I
please.
know, I'm just like,
Wait, everybody gonna have the time to
wanna-
speak. Yeah, that
So-
was the question.
On Monday, we had to make that request. As you know, late last week is when they gave us what their kind of number was, and at that point, they said that if we didn't come back with something this week. So I did ask our finance director on Monday, after having some discussions with some other councils as well, we needed to see other financing mechanisms.
So the request was made yesterday, Monday?
Monday.
Thank you very much, Michelle. Can you proceed, Miguel? You done?
Well, no. Pull up. So we have essentially two options. That first option was when I spoke about the bank loan, the commercial loan. There's also I talked about the option as well.
Yeah, there's the lease option
Okay.
that was presented. Mhm.
So you didn't mention the principal and the interest payment and the cost. I know you're waiting for your presentation to load, but can you put those numbers into the record, please?
Sure. The principal amount will be 11 million. So that's quoted price for that, the Wildcat. there will be closing costs of approximately $10,000. Those are essentially the dock fees and the legal fees associated with closing. And the interest rate will be 1.5%. That's what was quoted. And the payment, it'll be semi-annual. The semi-annual payment will be semi-annual payment will be $594,000. So it'll be a 10-year loan, semi-annual payment. The total interest expected on the loan is $800. So the total cost, interest and principal, will be in the neighborhood of $11,800,000.
So 11,896,739 will be the total cost to the city over the 10 years.
Correct. Well, those are just, those are going to be made, but those are
Well, this is the cost
Thank
of
you.
the loan.
Acquisition
Wait,
costs.
wait,
Okay.
right.
Can you finish with the
Yeah.
presentation, and after that, I will let you your question.
So that was option one. So option two is the lease option. And this was presented by a private finance company. Their Tate Capital is offering to purchase the property for the $11 million. And they will lease the property back to the city over, they were given two options. One was a 30-year period. And during that 30-year period, there are options to buy. The initial annual lease payment would be for $1,050,000 for the first year. Payments will be monthly, so it'll be a monthly lease. We'll make monthly lease payment to Tate Capital. Each year, the lease payment will go up by 3%. And we will be responsible for the sales tax associated with the lease. So I'm not going to go through all the terms of the lease, but bottom line is the total payments, if we're just trying to do a comparison of 10-year loan option versus the lease option over the 10-year period, the total payments that will be made if we did decide to make the purchase at the end of 10 years, it would be $25,433,551. So the total base rent payments will be $12,037,000. That will be just the rent payments. But if we did decide to exercise the option, there's a language in the lease agreement that would trigger a purchase price of $12,460,000. So the total combined acquisition cost over that time period would be $25 million as $11 million. The loan option.
That's it. You wanna add anything, Madam Manager?
No, those are financing options.
That's mean a quick question, Madam City Manager. You present those two options. For example, let's say we decided, just a quick question. Let's say we decided to go with option number one, right? And at the end of the day, we don't have the wildcat. That's not the final number. The administration willing to take responsibility.
I don't understand the question.
You present our two options, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's say we decided to go with option one. After 30 days, 60 days, or 90 days, come up with something completely different.
This is, as we've said, this is a preliminary quote. We don't expect it to be much different. Obviously, the numbers might not be exact, but they're not exact on either of the options after you have to go through them. So it's not exact. But based on having the conversations with Wells Fargo, which we actually have a banking relationship with, that's what they gave us the quote on. And we expect in the next couple of days that we would have an actual full document, the issues that it came up on Monday. So in the next few days, we would have kind of like a better letter in terms of what our option is. But we don't expect it to be more, and we have the advantage is that we do have a banking relationship with them.
I understand that, but the administration is willing to take responsibility for that.
This
For us to
decision on
make
whatever,
sure we acquire at this rate and around the same.
yeah, I
Because when you
can't
say the
guarantee the
relationship with
numbers.
Wells Fargo, I remember we only been with Wells Fargo for what, 1 year or 2?
Well, we have one account that we opened in the past year, but we've also had a banking relationship with the lockbox account with them for
Okay.
a number of quite a while.
Now let's open it to and I think we have the other
Mayor, can I ask one-
applicant, which is Mr. Tate, who present the second option, because initially there was one proposal was on the table. The administration just give me that one just now, the first option. Because the reason we are meeting today is because we couldn't get it, and State Capital come up with a proposal to help the city acquire the Wildcat Center. Is that correct? From what I understand.
Well, the understanding was that once they made their counter offer, I could, based on what was asked in terms of acquiring it, I could accept, but it was always going to be that it had to be subject to the council approval. So because last week they asked us about, that we need to move and time is of the essence, I would have had to come this week, no matter what, to make sure that the council agreed to purchase the Wildcat and also how you wanted to acquire the Wildcat.
Okay.
So that was the reason why we're here. We would have been here as soon after I got their final offer.
Thank you very much. Now that I think.
Mayor,
Mayor,
Councilwoman
I just have one, because I know we got the bank.
Wait.
No, but I think we need to ask
Wait.
this question
No,
because you said the
it's
bank
not the
loan
question.
came yesterday.
You're gonna have
No, Mayor, but I think
Councilwoman Timo, you're gonna
the
have all the
public
time
needs
to answer.
know
Wait.
when did the other
It
option
doesn't
come
work
in?
like that. Please. You will have all the time to ask your question. You have a question for the finance
Yes, I
director.
do.
Yeah, now I give you the floor.
So when did the other option come in? Because I know we said we got the bank option yesterday, correct? So when
Right.
did the Tate Capital option come in?
I'm not aware of.
I got I got a written offer answer from him on Sunday. It
Okay.
was on Sunday. So
So I think that just for the public's knowledge,
Yeah,
people
so-
need to know that, hey, this is something that is coming to us. There's only a few people here. So when they're coming with their comments, we got the bank option yesterday and we got the Tate proposal Sunday.
yes,
Thank you very much. Calvin. Oh,
I'll
finance
just
director.
save my question.
Okay.
Let everybody.
Councilwoman Isimer.
I
You're
will
fine.
have questions, but are you going to
No,
open it to
for
the
him.
public?
No, we're gonna
Oh,
open it to the
no.
public.
So, right, so your presentation is clear, and I'll just have questions.
Okay.
Thank
Okay. Thank you very much. And now, should I allow that date because you have a proposal on the table? So,
Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commission, thank you for having me. Risa, thank you. Jeff. Hi. A couple of things just so I can clarify a few facts. I was made aware of this potential transaction almost 2 months ago, and I tried to help the city facilitate a transaction here directly with the owner of PMG for various reasons. I'm not sure what transpired, but I guess there was no meeting of the minds. About a week ago to 10 days ago, I heard a rumor that the property that the city was trying to use as leverage to buy this and help give entitlements for another property was sold. So I was asked to look into it and see if there was any validity to the rumor, which I found out there was, and I forwarded that information. At that time, I felt bad because I knew how bad this city wanted the property. So I said, look, if you guys are in a jam, I'm happy to come up with something and try to buy it for you, lease it, and lend it back, and then give you an option to buy it back after 10 years. So that's how this all came to be. And that was about a week ago where I put something in writing to the vice mayor and to ask him to forward it to the city. And then the city manager asked me to please try to give her something more definitive that we would live up to, which we did on Sunday. So I just want to clarify some of those facts. Additionally, I did a lot of research in the market to make sure that the city was making a prudent investment in this facility. And so what I did was I pulled up a CoStar report for every Class A office building, because technically that's what this is. It's a Class A property. From just south of us on Biscayne Boulevard, the city limits, all the way east to Surfside, all the way north to Sunny Isles, all the way back west through Aventura, all the way back south, down south on Biscayne Boulevard. I'd like to, if I may, have this passed out.
What was that?
It has to be entered into the public.
But I'll tell everybody so the audience can hear
Yeah.
what it says. So basically what it shows is that the average rent in the entire market, which we'll call our comp set market, over 10 properties, because there's not many Class A office buildings, so they picked 10, is $48.23 a square foot. All right, and that's a very important number to understand what the comp is when you're making a decision about renting a property in this market. Additionally, what you're going to find very interesting is there's very little property available in this market. Of all the properties that the CoStar report shows, there's only a vacancy factor of 10.3%, which basically means there's very little vacant space in the entire market for this type of product. Secondly, more importantly, this is a special use property, which makes it even more difficult. If you look at Hallandale, that just built a comparable product, they spent $14.5 million, not including the land. It took them almost 4.5 years to get the property developed and off the ground. So you need to look at what is the replacement cost? How is a city going to go about actually getting a piece of property like this on a comparable basis, and then determine and ascertain whether or not this is a fair and equitable transaction. So all that being said, I'm going to say on the record, my sole purpose here is to help the city get this property. If you have a better opportunity, please take it. I'm not here to take any money from the city. In fact, I'm using money I could use for other things where I make a lot more money than 7% on my money. So this is a goodwill, altruistic offer by the Tate Group. If you take a bank, I'm pleased. But I do have concerns about a couple things that I am familiar with because I know Ryan Shear very well from PMG, the seller. Number one, I know he said he's only given a 30-day window for due diligence because he has another buyer. And the reason he afforded the city to step in is because I asked him to do us a favor so the city didn't lose the deal. Number two, he wanted a 15-day closing. So I have some pretty strong banking relationships, probably as good as the city, if not better. I can never get a bank, no disrespect to anybody here, but I cannot, with all my financing, all the development, all the purchases I make each year, I cannot get a bank to get me loan commitment from a loan committee and then get all the due diligence information they're going to need and then do the loan documents and close in less than 45 days. It's virtually, if I would say it's almost impossible. So I just don't want, and I'm not trying to say that what you have on the table is not real because I don't know, I didn't speak to Wells Fargo. But I do a lot of banking transactions, and it just, something sounds, there may be a miscommunication between the bank. I think you guys need to find this out. Number one, I've never seen a bank give 100% financing, ever. The loan to value is usually, if a great customer, 70% loan to value. But they never give 100% LTV, ever. And I have enough cash to buy things for cash, and banks don't give me 100% LTV. It's just not, it's not heard of in the banking world, number one. Number two, they're going to want their own appraisal. They're not going to accept the city appraisal. Okay? Well, Go get an appraisal today. How long does it take? That's 3 weeks on its own to get an appraisal from scratch. And you have to use a bank-approved appraiser. I'm educating you with these facts because it sounds like I'm trying to take the deal, and I don't care if I get the deal. I really don't. This has been a pain in my backside over the last week. But I don't want to see the city lose the deal. And I'm concerned because the bank may have said something or someone's not understanding what the bank said. I just asked that the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted. Additionally, when I was looking at the option 1 and option 2, I saw in option 2, which was the Tate option, that they showed a $200,000 a year annual tax. Well, you're going to pay that same tax in option 1, so it should have been represented in option 1. Additionally, to make this more feasible for you guys, the proposal I'm giving you is a rent of $27.60 a square foot, which is $20 a square foot lower than the market, which I just proved from you with a CoStar report. And you can take this CoStar to any bank and they'll accept it. This is gospel, a CoStar report. So when you look at it from a lease transaction, you're paying $20 a square foot below market. When you look at it from an acquisition perspective, and you look at the net present value of what our offer is, everyone's saying, the city finance director is saying we're paying $25 million. That's not quite accurate. The net present value, depending upon the discount rate that the city wants to use, whether it's 3%, 5%, or 10%, and Debbie Love can tell you this, if you use a 10% discount rate, the net present value is $11,077,000. If you use a 5% discount rate, which is probably more applicable, your net present value is $16,000,045. That's what your true cost is, not $25 million. And if anyone's going to tell you you're spending $25 million over 10 years, and the purchase price is including that, which is paid in the 10th year, to tell you that you're spending $25 million today, sorry, that's not a factual statement. The net present value with a 5% discount is $16,450,000. So now I ask, if you were to go buy a property for $5 million, comparable property, which is blank, and then you were to hire an architect, go build this building, which is going to cost you, you have a comparable product in Hallandale, just got done, at $14.5 million. And that was done a while ago. Contracts, as everyone knows, because the supply is very limited, construction costs are up 25%. I know Debbie can probably attest to that. So those numbers that Hallandale just got won't be valid today. My point is by the time you go and reproduce this building, if you can even find a property, you're going to be into the mid-20s and 5 years out. We afforded you an opportunity to have the keys in your hand so that the PAL and the community and the schools and the various departments in the city can start using this property in 35 to 40 days. We're going to do all the due diligence. The only thing we ask the city to do is come and inspect the building, inspect the roof, inspect the quality, make sure they accept it. We'll handle the title, we'll handle the environmental, we'll share it with the city, and we'll handle the survey, and we'll turn that over to the city. So I'm trying to make this as easy as possible for the city so there's no hiccups, no foot faults, and nobody gets trapped. And at the end of the day, we're offering to let you buy it back from me in 10 years at the same price I bought it for. There's not another hard equity lender or bank or developer or anybody that would offer that. This is an offer to the city because I live here, I work here, my kids all have homes here, I care about the city. That's the only reason I made this offer. It's not to put money in my pocket. I don't care about the 7% I'm going to net on this annually. I really don't. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jimmy. Is there any question, Jimmy?
Yeah, Mr. Tate, Tate Capital, what is it? Is it a bank? Is it an investment firm?
It's my family company. Tate Capital is an investment firm. We develop and we buy property throughout the country, United States.
And is this something that you normally do? Like, do you give cities or entities loans to purchase?
I don't normally give city loans, no.
Okay.
But I do give hard equity loans. In fact, I was just sharing this with the vice mayor. I just did a hard equity loan for someone that put in 30% of the equity. I got a first position. A bank took a second position, so I had a first position. I got, not that it's someone's business, but I got 15% of my money. I got 1 point in, 1 point out, and 100% of my costs covered. I'm not asking you to pay for any of my costs. I'm not asking you to pay for my legal. I'm not asking you to pay for the title insurance, the title, the review. I'm trying to make this as easy for the city as possible. Again, if you have a better offer, please take it. But I do know for a fact that PMG told me 30-day due diligence, under 15-day to close, or no deal. So if the city has a better deal from him in writing, take it, but I'm just sharing with you what he told me. And that's the only reason I stepped up, because I knew it was physically impossible for anyone else to be able to get this done that quickly, unless they had the cash to do it. So that's why the offer is before you today.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tate, and I think very clear, and I think the city is the one that approached
Thank you.
Mr. Tate. If he can do something, not only talk to PMG and help the city find a way to acquire the Wildcat Center, not like we put the deal out there and they just come in and try to make money. It's just helping the city and find a way to get it done, and in a way that's going to save the city money and at the same time serve the residents that will move forward. Yes.
And I'd like to just add one more point for clarity purposes. Typically, when a lender does a value, they look at the value of the asset and what value it has on the street. So from our perspective, this is a risky deal. It's a single-purpose building. It has no entitlements. It has no parking. So it has no value to me if, God forbid, the city defaulted. So there's a real risk, right? So, people need to understand risk reward. So there is risk with this, and it's just not a straight-up deal. And I'm curious if the bank would accept a property with a non-conforming use, which means it doesn't have parking. Now, I was able to secure 80 parking spaces, but it costs money, and I mentioned to the vice mayor I would split the difference with the city to help you guys get it, about $120,000 a year. It's within walking distance. It's at the Publix. So I can get a 30-year lease to coincide with our lease, and it was like 120. I told the vice mayor I would split it with you guys to help you all out.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now we are going to open it to the... Yeah.
Councilwoman Estemayor, Irvin, have any questions?
No, we're going to come back on the dais.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we didn't miss.
Yeah, we just want to hear from the residents. Public hearing is open on the item. Councilwoman Carol Keys.
Mr. Mayor, I apologize to the councilwoman. I have to run to the restroom real quick, so I'm not stepping out.
Okay.
Otherwise, I'll be right back.
Good evening, everyone. Okay, I want you all to know I'm really supportive of the Wildcat Center. When we started talking about this in 2020, this was a great opportunity for the city to have an already built property. I'm personally recommending that we purchase this. I did my numbers, and you've got numbers up on your agenda. And after 10 years, with the interest, after 10 years, you're out $11,800,000. So you should take advantage, or you should look at the net present value of that, because if 25 is the net present value is much lower, then 11.8 is much lower too. So we're 11.8. After 10 years, we have spent approximately $14 million, and we have nothing. Or we can spend another $11,600, and we've spent just around, my numbers are a little different, $25 million. So it's, at the end of 10 years, do we want to spend $11 million or $25 million? The prudent way, this is my profession too, I do commercial real estate for 40 years. The way you buy a piece of property is you make an offer. We can make an offer with a 30-day inspection. We can find out whether we can get the financing. You also need to find out about the parking. One of my suggestions, backtracking a little, is I first talked to the manager back in 20 about exchanging or selling the Gwen Margolis Center. We do not need that. we can't use it. That also has no parking, so we really shouldn't be counting on that for parking, because I think we really need to get rid of that. It's a very valuable piece of property, and we can always use that as soon as we can sell it, take our time, 6 months, a year, and pay down the mortgage we have, which will make our costs lower. And we've kind of exchanged that. You need to watch the parking spaces. I don't know about Public's parking spaces. They have a lease. I don't know if they've got more than 10, 15 years left on their lease. They don't own that. They have a lease with someone who owns that property. So the prudent way is to take yourself 30-day inspection, see if you can get your financing, and, you know, sell Margolis. But I think right now doing a lease at the end of 10 years, we're going to really have nothing and just have to go out and spend more money. And our financial condition, I think that's a prudent way to go.
Thank you very much, Councilwoman. Our keys, public hearing still open.
I swear that wasn't by design. Sorry.
You didn't want to hear it.
William Prevotel, 11950 North Bay Shore Drive. Pardon my Halloween Steve Bannon look. I want to thank Mr. Tate for his offer. I think it might be a good, particularly as a backup to a purchase. But I'd like to point out that as he spoke at the very end, some very, very valid points. This is a single-use property. It doesn't have parking. Has anybody mentioned what the maintenance is? The electric, the overkeep of this, the repair costs. As I tried to say last time I saw you, this is a bit of an albatross on the neck of the current owner. It's not on a main thoroughfare. The value looks good to us, looks like a good opportunity for us, for nobody else. You're not getting anybody going in there with a big amount of money. They're not going to take that risk, as was pointed out. This is going to be a risk for us. And I'd like us not to repeat history and the mistakes that we've made, such as in Biscayne Landing, where we have control of an entire large parcel. We practically give it away for nothing, and they within a relatively short period of time, parcel it off and make up their initial investment. And here we are about to do that again, in a large part. The single structure that is most difficult to do anything with, and we're going to gift it to them. Don't be so anxious. And I'd like somebody up there to make the proposal that this purchase would not go above the lower appraised value. Those appraised values are not the exact distress value, which is what it is. This is a distress value, and it's much less than those appraised values. The values you have up there are probably a reconstruction cost to replacement. So please consider that. You guys, you have the upper hand here. Please don't lose it. You have the upper hand. And call your shots. Take advantage of the low interest rate at 1.5% is incredible. And we're going to have to resolve it. It's going to cost a great amount to maintain it and to work out something with the parking. This is not going to come easy, as nice as it might be in the end. Let's not repeat history. Good luck. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Public hearing is open. The item.
Naomi Blemire, 685 Northeast 126th Street, North Miami, Florida, 33161. As a former banker, I would like to give my professional opinion to the dais. While I am grateful for Mr. Tate and his family's option, I do not believe that would be the best option for the city, and I'm going to lay out why. Banks do business very differently when dealing with government as opposed to business and individuals. They are about building that relationship and getting a bigger share of whatever the government is willing to give them as much as possible. So whatever you bring to them, right? Whatever the requirements you are asking for them to meet in order for them to satisfy that, they're going to move very diligently to do so. I worked with for the second largest bank in America, and I've seen this done before. While I do understand Mr. Tate's points that normally they would not be able to meet these requirements within that short period, but when a government entity comes before them, they're going to do the necessary work in order to get that done. And I think that it would be in your best interest to wait that out and see what they can present to you before you go to the second option. Secondly, no matter how you look at it, taking a 10-year loan at 1.5% and owning it after the 10 years versus a lease option for 30 years at $1 million a year, and at the end, you still have to purchase it at that $11 million, it's not in your benefit. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Public hearing still open. Comments?
Yes, we do.
How many do you have?
3. Lisa Victor, 1530 Northeast 138th Street, North Miami, Florida 33161. It is so heartbreaking thinking that the city even is considering this purchase. The library hours have not been restored, parks are not open, and services has been cut. But you're considering purchasing a property? It's a great idea, but at the wrong time. If you guys scream no money to reopen the library, how can you have money to buy property? How much does it cost? How can you say there's no money and want to do this? The mayor and council office give themselves a raise and health insurance while employees probably won't see a merit increase for a while. The mayor and council claim to be so fiscally responsible when we're spending $350,000 on Citizens Investigative Board. Please reconsider this. Please reconsider this if you can purchase this. Then why does the library need to suffer with short staff or parks are still closed? For once, please be responsible. Joshua Baez, 995 Northeast 132nd Street. We talk about how we are in hard times and how we don't have any money for anything. We don't have any money for anything. But yet, here we're considering buying a property. What happened to saving? How can we possibly entertain this? Councilman Galvin, don't you already have a planned community center in Solemia? The other day, I walked into the library, and to my surprise, the AC is not working. They have had to use portable ACs for over a month. The heart of the community facility can even have the AC to work, or the hours can be restored due to budget constraints. But we are already wasting money with $350,000 CIP when the county already has one, thanks to Zome. Your frontline employees are not getting merit increase or proper COLA, and this is what you think is best, buying a property? Councilwoman Timothy, you were once an employee, and I hope you remember that, because this is the same thing when you were PIO. Bad decision making in turn cause employee and residents to pay for it. Jessica Alston, 1140 Northwest 125th Street. Again, rather than full disclosure, we are no disclosure regarding a NOMI venture. In this case, a Wildcat Center. It's fascinating to see an official City of North Miami City Council meeting, city potentials purchase and lease packet, meeting agenda with one item on it that contains no information, including no address, except that it is proposed community wellness facility. This facility is extremely supersized for the stated purpose. A city purchase/lease community venue should be accessible to the entire city population. This venue's location east of Biscayne Boulevard present an accessibility hardship to the majority of Nomi residents. As such, another location should be considered among a listing of other possible alternatives. That's all the comment.
Thank you very much, Madam Deputy City Clerk. Public hearing still open on the item.
Hi there, Sarah McDevitt, 14490 Northeast 10th Avenue. I just want to say that I understand the potential for this property. I think that there's a lot that our community could gain if we have a fully constructed property versus one that, we have to work through all the stages we've seen over and over, throwing up roadblocks to us having access to built community properties. But I also do feel concerned that the community and residents in general have not been fully brought up to speed with the costs associated with the property, not only the purchase price, but what it's going to cost to run that property. As has been mentioned in prior comments, we don't have all of our community resources up and running. We have parks that still aren't open, the library's struggling, and I just think that a little bit more diligence and education for the public would be in order before we can really embrace going forward with as much as I believe in it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Public hearing still open. Public hearing is now closed. Come on, that. Councilwoman T.
Alrighty. Madam City Manager, can you clearly state to me and to the public what you're requesting of the council?
A decision on the purchase of the Wildcat Center and a decision on the financing mechanism for the Wildcat.
So you're asking us if we should purchase it, how we should purchase it, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And my next question was, is there parking included in this deal? We now know there's none. There's only the 13 lots, correct?
That's correct. But there is we would have an opportunity to assume parking spaces across at Publix as well. That has been asked if we wanted to assume those parking spaces.
And I know that Mr. Tate provided his proposal last week, and we got the one from the bank yesterday. Did we seek any other financial debt services? Did we reach out to any other banks before, rushing to these two options?
I'd have to ask the finance director what his process was when he went for the quotes for the financing.
Let's make the precision. We don't have a quote from the bank.
No. I want to know,
this
did he
time.
reach out to others? Did you reach out to other banking institutions, other investment firms, other entities?
Yes, we reached out to other banks. Miguel Augustin, finance director. Yes, we reached out to other banks, but given the short timeline, they were still doing their due diligence at this time. So we haven't gotten other responses yet from other.
And typically, how long those responses take to come in?
Well, I don't know. This is new. This is not usual. These things usually are more drawn out. But we did express the urgency, the short timeline for when we expected to have this completed.
Oh, thank you. Madam Manager, do you also have reports maybe from Johnson & Wales showcasing the revenues that were generated in the past from the Wildcat Center, so we know, typically what type of, uses that the Wildcat Center normally procured for?
Unfortunately, I do not have any report from Johnson & Wales. They are a private university and didn't provide us documents there. But I do know that there had significant activities there, and we do believe that that facility would bring in some activities that could be revenue-generating activities once you start programming.
But we don't have an estimate of those numbers.
I don't have an estimate at the time.
Okay. And also, do we know what improvements the city would need to make to this facility to bring it up to, like, whether it's signage? I know when I asked for the operations and maintenance plan yesterday, there was none. Do we have maybe an estimate on what the operations and maintenance plan would be of this facility?
We do have an estimate of the operations and the maintenance. I would ask Jeff Geimer, our capital projects, to provide that. But this facility is really pretty much from at least one of the appraisals, is in very excellent condition. So other than kind of the minor signage to say that it's, City of North Miami and those things, I think that it's really a facility that you can kind of just go into and start to work. But there is going to be obviously the question of operation and maintenance, which Mr. Geimer would answer.
Good evening, Jeff Geimer, Capital Project Manager for the City of North Miami. Just briefly on the Wildcat Center, we put together a quick estimate on what the operation and maintenance costs would be for the facility. This was an estimate based on staffing, operational expenses. We threw together some numbers for 2 full-time employees, recreation coordinator, and a maintenance. Part-time staff estimated about 200 hours per week for operation. Would cover the facility, which was gymnasium, fitness room, reception area, and classrooms for 50 to 60 hours a week of operations. Benefits and expenses was something that would cover the employer share of Social Security, health insurance, Florida retirement system costs, etc. Operating expenses, utilities. Again, these are rough estimate numbers. We utilized existing city facilities to help generate some of these numbers. We looked at Palestine Center and some of our other centers, this information. Contractual services, which includes janitorial service, elevator inspection and maintenance, air conditioning maintenance, facility alarms, etc. Various equipment and supplies that would be needed on an annual basis, facility maintenance and upkeep, then it's just internal services, which is workers' compensation coverage, risk management service. This puts us in the ballpark of approximately $450,000.
Can you say that?
$450,000. Again, it's a rough estimate based on
estimate.
city facilities. We didn't get any numbers or information.
But this would be like a community center that would be under Parks and Rec, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Geimer. My next question, Madam Manager, what is knowing that we just passed our budget, barely passed our budget that included water and sewer increases, sanitation increases, and so forth, 1% COLA, knowing that we have, what is our deficit right now, Madam Manager?
I would have, in terms of right now or going into the year of 2021, we went into the year at -5.
So we have like $5 million deficit.
We began the year at that, yeah.
And knowing that we have this $5 million deficit and expenses continue to outpace revenue, do we have a plan in place to pay for this center, like pay back our loan? I know when I asked you yesterday, the answer was after 2 years, I'm not sure. So do we have a plan to pay for this? Can we afford it?
Well, what we had originally talked about in terms of affording, when we thought the pricing would be a lot lower for the Wildcat Center, was that we did have some reserve out of the escrow when we got the additional $5 million from the county. So those dollars could be used to pay the payments. When we were talking, it was we had a conversation about the $1 million a year, but if it comes down to a lower number, then the monies that's in escrow could probably take us through a few more years. And then at that point, that's when you would have to have an increase in what our general fund balance is in order to add that in on a recurring basis.
So as of right now, we do not have a plan in place or revenues identified to pay off this loan.
The revenues are not identified. The dollars itself from the additional in the escrow is identified. That would cover the next 2 to 3 or 4 to 5, depending on which financing method the council votes on.
So but basically, after 5 years, we don't know how we're going to pay for this.
We would assume that the general fund balance may increase.
But if it
That's-
doesn't, we don't know how we're going to pay for this.
If it doesn't, it's not in our current for the way that the original would go up. That's correct.
And given our financial status as a city, where our expenses are right now, knowing that we have a deficit, Madam City Manager, do you feel as though this is a decision that we should go into? Because when you have money, you spend money. But when you don't have money, you don't spend money because you're trying to find ways to save money or generate revenue so that we can keep up with the city that we're trying to run. So as the public has stated, as I've stated with you, we can't open up our parks. Library is still on, certain like short hours. We're not even back to fully operating our library. We don't know how we're going to expand services, and we haven't identified revenue. So while this is great, yes, it would be great if we can have it, but as of right now, with our financial situation, knowing that, employees literally just got off of furloughs, that we're still in a pandemic. We are still fighting this pandemic, knowing that we have not identified revenues. Like, I'm sorry, right now, I don't think that we should move forward with this deal. It seems like it's rushed. We don't have other banking options. All we have is one option from, Mr. Tate, thank you, but did we seek other investment firms? Like, I'm hearing this of the first time last week, Thursday. And I was shaking because I'm like, if that was the case, why didn't we do this for Gwen Margolis? Why didn't we do this for Griffin Center? Why didn't we do this for all the other centers that are dilapidated in the city? So all of a sudden, yes, we have this opportunity to purchase Wildcat, but if it doesn't make sense, if it's rushed, if we don't have options, we shouldn't be moving. There's a reason why everything is being blocked right now. If it's not easy access, we shouldn't be moving. And the fact that we're having one meeting over this acquisition, yes, I understand it could be great for the city, but we don't have money. So how are we going to pay for this after 5 years? Because what you just told me is that you don't know. And in 2 years, 2 of the members will be gone. I'll be here. And then if you're the manager, you're going to be asking me to raise taxes on the residents. You're going to ask me again to raise water rates. Like, how are we going to pay for this? We don't even have a comprehensive plan to get out of our deficit. That should be our priority right now, not spending. And if anyone knows anything about community centers, they don't make money. They do not. All of our community centers makes us $0. Gwen, Griffin, Joe Celestine, we are not making money with our community centers. So we're adding assets that generates 0 revenues. And that's a problem. Because now you're telling me to vote on an item to say, hey, let's get a loan or let's get this loan or that loan when we don't have money. So I can't sit here and say, yes, I'm going to vote to acquire this property, knowing that employees are not getting a merit increase, knowing that our library is not open today, knowing that half of our parks are not open. Have you seen the conditions of our playgrounds? It's disgusting. So if you're telling me we had an option to fix this city years ago, we should have took out a loan years ago, we should have did it then, not right now. We're in the middle of a pandemic right now. People are still dying right now. So as of today, I'm sorry, I can't support this item.
Are you done, Councilman? Thank you very much. And as far as the Wildcat Center, they let you know that not something new to us acquiring the Wildcat Center. Even though when Johnson and Wells was there, we were talking about do we switch between the Gwen Margolis, who've been working about the Greenwich Studio, do we switch or acquire the Wildcat? That's been these things that we've been working for quite some time, and understand that the city needs to go, and we need to bring service to the people. And I don't know what the city manager is doing when we said point blank when we were passing the budget that we need to fully open all the parks and all the community center, including the North Miami Library. we make it clear on the dais when we were passing the budget for the fiscal year 2021-2022. As a matter of fact, I was kind of concerned yesterday when I went by the library and they told me the library closed at 5 o'clock, when I think by passing the budget, the library were fully open. And that being said, let me hear from my district, District 3, Councilwoman Marie-Estime Melvin.
Thank you.
No,
that's not, everyone knows that District 3 is represented by Councilwoman Mary. I have some mixed sentiments. Well, let me start up this way. Mr. Tate, thank you for being available to be of service to us. Before I go into any comment, would you be willing to, if we were needing an option, would you be willing closer to match option 1?
I wish I could, but my cost of funds are not the cost of funds for a bank, and I would lose money. I just can't. As I said, if option 1 is a reality and they can close and move quickly, then take it. But I too have been in the banking world. I've almost, I had U.S. Century Bank under contract. I shadow managed it for over a year. I was on the board of another bank. Banks, yes, they treat certain clients differently, but you have loan committee that takes 2 to 3 weeks just to get on the committee. Look, the problem here is.
I'm sorry. Let me.
So the answer is no. I cannot match the deal. Could I negotiate and look at ways to save money? Yeah. I mean, this is more altruistic than a normal deal that I do. So I'm willing to sit down and figure out how do we shave a few dollars here and there. In fact, I even offered to share in the expense for the Publix parking lot, and it is over 30 years, and they're willing to assign it to us. It was $120,000 a year. So I was willing to share in that expense to help the city out. I'm willing to help, but I can't lose money. That's not what I do.
And so I just want to thank you for your help, but understand, for me personally, I have a fiduciary duty to the city. And I have to do what, and I think anybody in my seat, a reasonable person, I believe, in my seat, could not even consider taking terms where I'm leasing with not even, well, let me ask this. Are any of the monies that would be paid for the lease would be going towards owning the property? So
basically what you're doing is you're paying me an interest on my money. So the gross interest without my cost of funds, my total cost of funds, I'm using a credit facility to buy it, right? And then I have to go ahead and put my own debt on it. And when I put my own debt on it, by the time I pay my half a point and pay my interest rate fixed, I'm over 3%. So my net effective rate, your net effective rate, your net effective rate on an annual basis is about 9.5%. My net effective rate is a little bit over 3%. So I'm getting only 6%, under 7% on my money for everything I'm trying to do. It's just not what I do. I'm just trying to help you guys out.
And I understand that.
Right.
Like I said, and I thank you for wanting to be helpful. Right. My next ask would be that if we couldn't use your option, at least use your contact to work with us so that we can make sure that we're using the right option for our city. Because you said that you could talk to PMG, and you could, so that would be.
I've already done that. And so I got them to not take another deal to give this deal time. Look, whatever you all do, I respect. I'm just trying to help.
I understand, and I thank you for that.
But if you really want to buy this building, you have a 30-day window, and that window is about to close. You have a 30-day window to do your due diligence and 5 days to close after that. I don't know.
I hope that you could use your friendship to help us do that.
I've been trying to use my relationship to drag it on this long. As I think the city manager will tell you, they have another deal. So they've afforded us a unique opportunity. That's the only reason I came up. I said, look, I'll help you guys close. But I'm afraid with a little bit, I can do a little bit, but I can't really do much more. My net is between 6% and 7%. It's just not that much for me to go through all this and have all this money it's a contingent liability for me. So, and it's a real liability. So,
I understand. Thank
thanks.
you. To my colleague, as everyone knows, well, Councilman Galvin especially, I'm probably one of the councilperson that really tries to work with my colleagues, especially. I know if it's something in your district you want it, because I know when I want something in my district, I want the support. I really want to be supportive of. But option 2 is almost not a for me as I don't know how to justify it. Based on what I've heard, I'm sure I'm going to be hearing some more. I'm willing, and I know I'm going to get killed on this, to do as many special meetings as we want to try to get this right. But as this is right now, I'm absolutely not comfortable with it. I mean, is this the best purchase we could? I mean, should we be purchasing Center right now? Probably not. But will we get this opportunity again? Maybe not. So I want to be supportive of getting the Wildcat. I want to be supportive of it, but I cannot be supportive of financing of option 2. I just want to be very clear.
Thank you very much, Councilwoman Maggie C. Irvin. Just precision, we don't have 2 options on the table. You just someone talking with a bank and the bank said, I'm going to give you one. It's like I'm calling a bank. I said, I'm buying a house. They asked me, how much is the price? I said, it's $300,000. And how much you going to put down? 10% down. They did the calculation, maybe based on 750 Beacon score. They give me the best rate possible. And then they told me a number. By the time I send my social security, my date of birth and everything, and it just happened that my Beacon score is 550. It's a different ball game. That means we don't have 2 options on the table, and I don't know why in a few minutes the manager, the administration threw something on the table without a letter or a memo from Wells Fargo with the letterhead. That means we have one option on the table. I don't believe that we have 2 options. Anybody can call right now, say, I want to borrow. I can even call a bank and say, I want to borrow $11 million to buy this and that. They did the calculation. I can even go online and do the calculation by myself. And I will get a number. But I don't mind if we have to find ways to get a financing besides Mr. Tate option. But telling me that we have 2 options on the table, I don't see it. And until we have something from Wells Fargo or a real bank with numbers, say this is what it is with the city of North Miami. And I don't know if you have anything to say. I think everybody expressed their point of view, and I think I'm gonna let you speak, and if not, I'm gonna call a decision. Go ahead.
I'll be really quick. Madam Manager, may I speak to the Finance Director, Mr. Augusta?
Yep.
Welcome to the hot seat. The first call that you made to Wells Fargo was made when?
Yesterday.
Yesterday at what time? Approximately. Morning?
It was yesterday afternoon.
Okay. With whom did you get the parameters of what you've presented to us tonight? What's the name of that person, and what is their role at the bank? Are they a branch manager or a senior vice president? Tell me more about that.
Well, he's a vice president. His name is Vincent Mateo. We have a relationship for a number of years. We work together. He comes by, we talk about different risks they're facing. So we have a relationship with the bank. So
why didn't Mr. Mateo give you this estimate in writing?
Well, as I said, the time that I was asked to reach out to different financial institutions was fairly short. So for them to go through their due diligence process, it takes more time. He was able to give me some numbers just based on information that I provided. He had some questions for me about what the use of the facility was, the nature of the facility, costs, appraisals. So we had some exchange of information, and then just based on that, he was able to give me some rough general information that he cannot commit to till it goes through the full due diligence process. So The other banks that I reached out to were not able to come back in time for this meeting because the meeting was scheduled for today. Told about this yesterday.
Why did you wait, though? Why didn't we even talked about this at a recent council meeting, and it shouldn't be secret to anybody. I mean, I've posted on social media that something I'm interested in. Why didn't you explore that option a week ago, 2 weeks ago, days ago?
He wasn't asked because we didn't have a number, and I didn't ask him until we knew where we were going to be with the Wildcat Center. In part of the discussions that I've had, and I kind of kept you in the loop of where the funding was going to come from. Originally, what was presented to them and what we had been talking about the last deal was something that was more along the line of 6 with some zoning incentives, 6 million, and we had expected that it would have been over time that we could pay it. So there was 2 million, and that was expected to come from additional monies that we had already based on the money that we were going to have in excess for CAGNY. So it was when they approached us with the number that they were not accepting the, $6 million wouldn't be, and we wouldn't have that, and that they had another buyer that we needed to come up with $11 million. That is when I spoke to Miguel about that. And then on Monday morning, I did send him and asked him to see if there are any other, options in terms of getting some financing. I had several conversations across the weekend with different council, and there were concerns about cost for it. And if there was that, I was asked explicitly the question by one of the council, what other financing mechanisms can you get? What do you have? And so I went and I looked and explored that based on the request that we had. So for Miguel, he first got this opportunity to even look on Monday. In fact, I had conversations with Mr. Tate about what happened the week before, and Mr. Tate finally gave me, I asked him, hey, I need some lease terms. And once he gave me lease terms, and he also gave me lease terms in writing, so I need to get them both in writing. So basically, that's how that came about. Mr. Augustin didn't get asked to look for the other options until Monday morning, when I spoke to him when we came back from the weekend.
You referenced the money from coming back from Cagney Park. Do you envision using some of that money toward this purchase, lease, acquisition, no matter what form it takes?
It could take another form to go parts of it, but that would have been something else that we'd also have to bring up, because I would have brought that as that if I was bringing the $6 million to the table, which I said at the time when I talked to you all about what we thought we could pay if we got it on a payment plan from PMG. That has always been my
a lot of people touched on a lot of things, and one of the members of the public said that there's no other options. We can take our time. I can tell you from firsthand knowledge, there is an option well in excess of the 11 million on the table. I have invested a lot of time and effort in this, and the only reason that one of the only reasons that offer was not accepted was because of some phone calls I made. I can guarantee you, as much as my mom's heart is still beating, somebody call my mom, there is a significantly higher option on the table. So if we don't move now, we lose the opportunity. Yeah, I'm sorry, Mr.
No, go ahead.
So we've got a lot of projects we want to do in this city coming up. They're all going to cost. If we're going to strictly go by whether or not we have the money sitting in a bank right now, we won't do any of it. Won't be a P3, there won't be a garage. The CRA can just give out rehab money as much as they want. The city can just do the smaller programs like that. There won't be a Griffin Park. Nothing happens. At some point, we have to start looking and talking about finance options. The first overture I made to PMG on this was, hey, you've made tons of money off the other surrounding properties. Give this. Donate it. They said no. In the meantime, they were selling off all of the 28 parcels that this university was divided in. Every time they sold a parcel, we lost leverage. In the end, we were down to one parcel. It's the vacant lot that some of you may remember as the old trailer, almost immediately of the Wild. We were in discussions with PMG about ways that we might barter better sales price in return for density and height. But you can't make that. That was where we were. We were having those types of discussions in hope of getting a lesser price. And then they sold that piece of it. We don't have much leverage at all. Time is ticking against. I know full well they have a stronger offer on the table. And if we walk out of here, next night, next week, and we don't have a real offer, not only will we lose this opportunity, I mean, I can't tell you how many opportunities this city has missed out on because we want to study it a bit more, we want to look into it a little bit more, we want to review it a little bit more. This is it. It's here. We have a significant need. You're right, we don't have the money in our pocket. Probably will never, at least for many years, have 15, 20 million just sitting in the bank to make a straight up purchase. Hopefully the CRA does well or Solomia brings us revenue. But we're always going to have to look at some sort of finance.
Yeah.
So I feel strongly enough about this that I don't think it's fair for the council to vote without a full council.
We and now come up with the proposal. And not what I was saying, and Mr. Tate, I have a few questions.
Yes,
in your 10 years options, right?
Yes.
Is there a penalty for prepayment if we paid before?
These are all things we can discuss. As I said to Theresa, all I did was put something in writing to you guys. I'm looking to sit down and, as long as it's fair and equitable, that's what this is all about.
That's when the APR is for the time that we keep the loan from you. That's when, let's see, we keep it for 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years, you only pay interest on and there's no prepay penalty on the loan. That's the first thing. Second thing, Madam City Manager, and I know a lot of people that purchase the rest of the property, they're going to come up before the city for zoning. And I hope that we use that and toward the wildcat. That's when someone just get a good deal thinking they're going to come to the city for free. They're going to get 300 and they're going to have the height and density for free. That's when we can say, okay, here's the wildcat, this is what we want, and in order for you to get your height and density. Secondly, Mr. Tate, we work a deal with you in the city. We're talking about the 146 Street, and is there a way we can leverage those two deals as a collateral to pay for it? And if we work something, if we move forward and come back within 24 hours to see if we can come up with some type of agreement. And I think that's will be my motion, and postpone this until tomorrow night, just to see if there is something that we can do.
Right. I'm happy to sit down I'm happy to sit down with the city manager and try to see what we can come up with. Again, I'm here to help. I'm not here to hinder. And your time constraint's not with me.
Yeah.
It's with PMG.
And
just tomorrow.
And sure, and I'll make this clear. I totally forgot to mention this point. Obviously, if this property is acquired, there's not as much fire in my belly to need to build a Solomia Park facility like there is now. It would make almost no sense financially or operationally to have a Solomia Community Center that's doing ABC and then a Wildcat that's doing ABC about 2 miles away. So if there's some give related to Solomia Park, which we're actually bound to do, there's less money to be spent in Solomia, so redirect toward this one. Because for me, this is important here, it's now, turnkey, and let's do it. We're not talking about something happening 5 years.
Actually met with Solomia last week, and they said that they have $2 million committed to the park.
Right.
So if that's
Yes.
something that you're saying that you would want to put those $2 million to this property.
Yeah, that's their money. I obviously
Yeah.
can't say yes. take
That was a
Solomia's
commitment
money.
in the
Yeah, that's been
in the interlocal agreement that
Right. I got
was
that
passed.
written into their contract 20 years ago. That's why it's there. $2 million is especially nothing compared. But I still think there needs to be some sort of ball field at Solomia. Don't know what a ball field would cost, but if you were to say, Scott, you got to pick right now, Solomia Community Center in 5 years, Wildcat Community Center now, I'd go with now, because I don't think, 5 years from now, Solomia could cost the $20 million that we're looking at today, because the Hallandale property was just built for, and that's based on prices that they received a couple years ago
Years
or
ago.
more. So, if we're going to do all the vetting and all the stuff, the Solomia Park could easily come out to be 50 or more, and then we'd be paying the remainder of Solomia covers $2 million, then we pay whatever was needed on top of that. Like I say, at some point, just don't have money in the bank. Glad to hear maybe there's some wiggle room over the next day or so, but I'm happy to put some of those things. We couldn't afford to operate both.
I have a question, Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
to Mr. Tate. Mr. Tate, do you happen to have your loan already?
What loan?
I mean, I'm not loaning you the money. I'm buying the building. I'm going to lease you the building. And then you have an option to buy it from me at the same price I paid. So I'm basically just charging you below market rent by $20 a square foot less than what you can go lease this building for if you could find a building like this. So
Right, and you're ready to go to buy the building now?
subject to due diligence, yes. I can close in 30 days. I don't need a loan.
Thank you very,
But
very
Matt,
much.
I know
and
your motion is to postpone it, but I
For
thought
tomorrow.
I thought the time of the essence was like today.
No, it's tomorrow. We're going to postpone it for tomorrow, Wednesday, just in the meantime, to see if there's anything we can do between the first deal and the second, and the Solomia also. That's mean
So you want
my
us to-
motion is for tomorrow night at 6 p.m.
Can it be Thursday night at 6 p.m. to give them a little bit more
No,
time?
tomorrow night.
Tomorrow's-
We tied to tomorrow night.
Yeah, I can't come Thursday night, so tomorrow. would
Tomorrow
work for me,
night, yeah.
Or Friday?
Yes.
So you're saying-
No, tomorrow night.
I'll
Mr.
second the
Mayor-
motion to continue. Or do
All
we
right.
Yeah,
need a
tomorrow
Can
night.
we,
vote or
Mr. Mayor, could we, so we can have this is big. Like I
Yeah,
said,
you don't
like
rush
I've
money
mentioned,
like this.
I want to be supportive. Give us some time, give administration some time, give Mr. Tate some time to negotiate, give everybody some
No,
time.
we're gonna come
And I
back.
said I
We're
didn't
gonna come
even, I
back
was not even
tomorrow.
available on Friday because that's a big night for me, but I will make the sacrifice. But, tomorrow night,
What can be done?
what can be done tomorrow night
There's
for
a
us
lot
to
that
make
can be done, and
effective
My
decisions?
motion is tomorrow night.
Can we ask the city manager, will we be able to come back tomorrow
It's
night?
not the manager's decision. It's our.
Well, doesn't she have to set the agenda?
That's what the same item. Continue the item is not an agenda. It's the same item continuing for tomorrow, 6 p.m.
Right, I have a motion made by Mayor Bien-Aimé to postpone the item until tomorrow night. That motion was seconded by Councilman Galvin. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
No.
Motion fell 2-2.
I have a motion to postpone this until Friday night, or if Friday, excuse me, and I can let you guys pick the
So
time.
Friday won't be good.
Friday won't be
Tuesday?
good?
We won't
have
have
a
a
council
quorum
meeting.
for Friday.
Here's the thing we're losing sight of. I get the talk. We've been having these talks for a long time. I get it. They're just coming to you, but
Right.
there's another offer on the table. And if they take it and we're sitting here flapping our wings,
I have
it's
an-
yet another missed opportunity. So, quicker we do it.
Right, so I have another question. Jeff, I'm sorry, Mr. Attorney, how would Sunshine work? Is it something, if we needed to do some prompt Sunshine meeting real quick, or, I mean, if we had results, could we, how much notice do we need to have?
Well,
Let me make sure of that.
you're still talking about a special meeting. Special meeting is hours, 5.
Give 24 hours,
So it'd be the
5:30.
same tomorrow. Basically, continuing it tomorrow morning, the manager.
It's
So it was a
continuing the
notice 24
same
hours.
meeting. It's continuing.
Right, and I'm not available on Thursday. But
Okay,
I'm not-
that's what I said
just what I'm
tomorrow.
saying.
Well, you just said that it had to be noticed for 24 hours, Mr.
No,
Attorney?
it's a continuing.
Oh.
We continue the meeting. This one been notified. We're just gonna continue the meeting tomorrow. It's like take a
So since
pause.
the motion fails, what happens now? Do we vote on the item?
We're not voting on that.
Well, no, your motion failed to continue it to tomorrow. So what's the option now on the table?
I made a motion to continue it on Friday.
I second that motion.
Mayor, are you available on
No,
Friday?
we're not. We won't have the full form for Friday. It's not just Friday or Thursday. Everybody needs to be there. People just voted for. Now give me a
All right, I have a second motion made by Councilwoman Estime Irvin to continue the item on Friday. A motion was seconded by Councilwoman Timothy. All in favor?
Can you remove your motion so we
Aye.
can?
Any
No,
opposed?
okay.
I can remove it?
Said you removed it?
No.
Any opposed?
No.
Nay.
Motion fails. 2-2.
Going to do
Okay.
this all.
But guys, you need to understand, and when it's not your district, I see people that we
But
don't care.
this is the financial future of
okay.
our city, Mayor.
But there are
I understand that, but understand that Councilman Galvin will present District 1, have $2 million with Solemia. That means we can work something with it. On top of that, we have $5 million coming from Cagney. On top of that, we already have a deal with the State Capitol about that building on 146. That's when we have 3 things we can work out within 24 hours and come up with a solution to acquire the wildcat.
Mr. Mayor, would you allow me to ask our finance director a question, please?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Finance Director, how quickly, take me down the line of what we need to do so that we have, that we're dealing with Wells Fargo or anyone. Let me back up. You contacted Wells Fargo. What other entity have you contacted?
TD Bank as well.
TD Bank as well. What was your response? What did TD Bank say they would get back?
Well, they're still working through their process. I told them that we would need something for today, but they weren't able to go through with me. So presumably they're still working on something. I don't know exactly when. So
Do you think that you can get some information, information for us for tomorrow's meeting?
I can ask, but I can't
Can
guarantee.
this be Madam Manager, would this be a priority? I know that I can give anybody directives. So would this be can this be a priority and
This would be
how?
a priority, but it would depend on the bank. So they give us the first set of quotes, and then they go put it together so they can give us a full quote. So it's a priority for us in terms of actually, Mr. Augustin dropped everything over the last 2 days to make sure he had the conversations and talked through them and answered the questions. But in order to get that document, he can't guarantee it and I can't guarantee it, but they do know that when we made the request was to see if we can do this and close in 30 days, and that they were supposed to give us a quote assuming that we were moving forward to close in 30 days.
Okay, so for the sake of us not being here all night and canceling each other out, as
But
you can
you
see
know,
what we've did.
But you know, Council, we still can call for a meeting tomorrow.
So that's what
I can ask for a meeting tomorrow. All the city manager gonna have to do is
Mr.
to
Mayor, if
see if
you
they're
allow
gonna
me
find
to finish.
quorum, and then we will have the meeting.
Right, correct. So what I was trying to get at, Mr. Mayor, is that so I can because like I said, I want us to make the right decision. So I can go ahead and agree to have this meeting tomorrow, providing that I have information. If I don't have the information that I'm comfortable with, then I'm going to be very honest with you, I'm just going to ask you
We
to
okay.
postpone it or be against
We
the
okay with
project.
that. Yeah.
Okay?
Okay.
So then I'll go ahead and remake a motion to have the meeting tomorrow.
And I second that.
Can we pause it first? Just a question. If we know that we're not going to have the information for you by 12, like, will we cancel that meeting? Because I just don't want to waste our
Council, yeah,
time.
we don't know that. It
We
would
have
be
a mo-
wrong for us to assume that
No,
they
no, no,
can't
but
get it.
if we need to cancel the
A
meeting,
majority, there's a
We have a
motion that's
motion
been made and seconded to
second.
have this tomorrow. I call the question.
I think,
No.
Councilwoman, that they
No,
see
she
the
can
urgency,
make a
and
point. No.
I
Yeah.
hope
Yeah,
that
yeah.
the city administration realize that, do everything
if
we
we
need
can't get
to
it
get
tomorrow
the,
by,
right.
if it's 4 o'clock and we don't have it, can we cancel the meeting so we don't come up here and waste our
We're
time?
not gonna, if
No.
we don't have one.
Yeah, we got to.
We're not gonna cancel the
Oh,
meeting.
okay.
There's a motion,
I
there's
have-
a second
I have
to
a
continue tomorrow.
I have a motion made by Councilwoman Esme Irvin to continue the item tomorrow, Wednesday, and that motion was seconded by Mayor Bieneme. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Motion passed with a 3.
Thank you very much, the meeting. We don't have any report, anything. Thank you very much. Can I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Tomorrow, 6 p.m. Thank you.
I have a motion made by Councilman Galvin to adjourn, and that motion was seconded by Councilwoman Esme Irvin. The time is 7:37.
You didn't say all in favor.
All in favor?
Aye.
All, any opposed? 7:37.